I'd like to call to order the business meeting for the Upper Gwinnett Board of Commissioners for August 17th, 2021. So with that, if we'll stand for the pledge. And leading us tonight will be our engineer, Isaac.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll bring it closer.
It's just up in the air.
Is that better? Okay. I don't know with my mask on.
I know it's a little harder.
Yeah. Next on the agenda, item number 3, the roll call. Deanna?
Ms. McNaney, President.
Here.
Denise Hall, Vice President.
Here?
Martha Similaro, Commissioner.
Here?
Noted Catherine Carter and Ruth Damsker are absent this evening. Sandra Zadell, Township Manager.
Here.
Megan Weaver, Assistant Township Manager. Here. Lauren Gallagher, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Isaac Kessler, Township Engineer.
here.
David Duffy, Chief of Police.
Here.
David Burrell, Finance Director.
Here.
Ann Reeker, Zoning Officer.
Here.
That's everyone. Thank you, Deanna. Next on the agenda, I'll turn it over to Solicitor Gallagher for the announcement of executive session.
Thank you, President McNady. The board did meet in executive session this evening to discuss matters of personnel as well as matters of litigation.
Next on the agenda, item number 5, public comments and concerns. Do we have anybody here this evening? No? I mean, we have people here this evening, but anybody want to talk this evening? Hearing none, then we'll move right along. Next, item number 6 is a public hearing.
Just one moment, please. Sorry.
Oh. Are we good? Okay. Next is a public hearing, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Hull.
Thank you. So we will suspend the regular meeting and move on to our first public hearing of the evening. The purpose of this hearing is to hear comment pursuant to the consideration of Ordinance 2021-003, amending the Code of Upper Gwynedd Township at Chapter 195, zoning at Section 12, R2 Residential District, to add subsection C, side and rear yard exceptions for non-conforming lots. And I will turn it over to our solicitor, Lauren Gallagher, for a brief explanation.
Thank you, Commissioner. So as set forth in the ordinance, which is included in the packets this evening, this ordinance, if adopted, would create an exception for side and rear yard non-conforming lots in the R2 residential district. It would apply to existing lots which are non-conforming because of undersized lot area or lot width, and which were not previously subject to approval pursuant to Section 195-19B2 PSR Planned Single-Family Residential District, or Section 195-27 Lot Averaging, R2 Residential Zones. Those qualifying lots would then be permitted to locate patios, decks, and one-story attached garage additions not less than 20 feet from a side lot line and 40 feet from a rear lot line. And this evening, Exhibit T1 will be Ordinance 2021-03. Exhibit T2 will be the proof of publication of legal advertisement. This ran on July 27th and August 3rd. T3 will be a copy of the Upper Gwynedd Township Planning Commission review letter. T4 will be a copy of the Montgomery County Planning Commission review letter. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Reeker is also here to answer any questions regarding this ordinance.
Do we have any public comments, either virtually or in the room? No? Okay. Well, with that, then I will close the public hearing, and I would like to make a motion to approve Ordinance 2021-03, side and rear yard exceptions for non-conforming lots.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any public? No, we don't have any public comment. Any additional board comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it. Next on the agenda is another public hearing that I will handle this one. This public hearing is Resolution 29 2021. And the purpose of this hearing is to hear comment or the consideration of Resolution 29, 2021, adopting and approving the Upper Gwynedd 2040 Comprehensive Plan. A little background on that. I can't make this larger on my screen, so I got to put the glasses back on. In September of 2018, the Board of Commissioners began the process of contracting with the Montgomery County Planning Commission to begin updating the comprehensive plan for Upper Gwynedd Township. The township adopted its first comprehensive plan in 1970 and was last updated in 2004 with minor changes in that year. And the focus of the comprehensive plan was to revisit all the relevant aspects as outlined in the municipal planning code to provide renewed information on the township's changing demographic, housing needs, parks, recreation development, and the needs of the business community and more. The goal was to establish future objectives and priorities and offer perspective on redevelopment, address opportunities for vacant properties and properties in transition, as well as streetscape improvements, walkability and transportation issues, and the protection of natural and historic resources. We created a steering committee along with a category subgroup led by Marley Bryce, who is here with us tonight, our county planner, to begin working on the comprehensive plan. The planning steering committee and subcategory groups were comprised of township residents and some local business owners. The steering committee met monthly for the past 2 years and dedicated their time to create this long-range community vision and establish the policies, priorities, and guidelines to achieve that desired vision. During this process, the township had public open houses and provided information and received feedback from residents. And we also did it during COVID as well. So we had some meetings as well where via Zoom for this. So we didn't let the pandemic slow us down at all. So with that, we can give a brief explanation of everything. Anything to add to what I just said by our solicitor?
I think you covered it pretty well. So the exhibits this evening, T1 will be Resolution 29-2021. T2 will be the proof of publication of legal advertisement. This matter was advertised on August 2nd and 9th, 2021. T3 will be the Montgomery County Planning Commission review letter. T4 will be the notification letters that are required by the Municipalities Planning Act. And I do believe that there is someone here from the County Planning Commission to answer any questions specific to the plan.
So did we have any public comments? No? I'm going to ask, yeah. Before we close it, Marley or Van, did you want to say anything?
So I defer to Marley. She did a great job, worked almost 3 years with all of us to prepare the plan, which is before you tonight, sorry. And Marley's here, I guess, to make a brief presentation if you want to hear it. I know you've all heard it before. I can just say I've been doing this a long time, longer than I'd care to admit. I think it's a comprehensive plan, covers all the issues from A to Z that a township would need to address over the next 10 years. Graphically, it's exemplary, and kudos to Marley and the committee that is referred to, because I don't think there's ever been a plan that I've been a part of, and there's been plenty that has been more open to the public. That's been a part of the mainstream input questionnaires. Marley can speak to that if she wishes, but I don't think there's any comprehensive plan that's been close to the public airing to get to tonight and the final draft.
Thanks, Van. We agree. It was, I think the whole process was great. And the residents and all the input that we had from the different committees, I think we had 23 people, 23 residents, 27 residents that really gave their time to help with this. Marley, did you want to say anything?
I do have a brief slideshow.
Could you come up to the microphone?
I do have a brief slideshow prepared if you'd like a
Yeah.
overview, the highlights.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yes, good evening, everyone. It's good to be in person. My name is Marley Bice. I'm a principal community planner with the Montgomery County Planning Commission, and
Happy to be able to share with you this evening the final draft of the Upper Gwinnett 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Is that coming up or?
It stopped loading, so I'm going to re-pull it up.
Okay. So I do have a slide that shows all of the names of the steering committee members. Here it is. Yes. I did want to reiterate that it was a wonderful steering committee to work with. They met regularly for a little over 2 years to review data. They provided feedback on draft elements of the plan and guided the public engagement activities throughout the process. And I especially thank them for the flexibility that allowed us to pivot to all virtual meetings starting in March 2020. We continued to work on the plan and continued to organize virtual public engagement opportunities. Next, thank you. In addition to regular updates on the township website and social media, we organized several events and surveys during the planning process. The first public open house was hosted in person in March of 2019. In the spring and summer of 2019, a community survey was conducted, which received a total of 397 responses. In both the open house and the first community survey, respondents were asked to provide neighborhood-specific information, such as their top 3 priorities for their neighborhood. And responses ranged from maintaining neighborhood character, which was by far the most popular answer, to roadway maintenance, pedestrian safety, and greening. The steering committee took the public's feedback and developed a draft vision statement, which was released with a follow-up survey in the spring of 2020. And 86% of the 133 respondents to that survey indicated that they either strongly agreed or somewhat agreed with the themes and goals of the draft vision statement. Lastly, in the winter of 2021, we conducted 2 virtual public events. One was a virtual listening session where the public was invited to bring any questions regarding the comprehensive plan. And the second was a virtual open house where participants had the option to attend virtual breakout room discussions covering topic chapters and focus areas that are in the plan. And there's a screenshot in the middle of the slide of one of those breakout discussions on West Point Village. Next. Now I'd like to briefly go through the comp plan chapter by chapter just to help familiarize you with the layout and structure of the plan and what types of information is located in each chapter. Next. First, the introduction chapter is a brief chapter, but it describes the planning process, including the community vision statement, and summarizes how the draft plan is generally consistent with the comprehensive plans of the adjacent municipalities. Next. The background chapter includes a detailed demographic summary related to population trends, housing and household types, educational attainment, and employment data. Next, the land use chapter includes a summary of both existing and future land use patterns, as well as recent land development trends. Here is the township's existing land use map. As you can see, the distribution of land uses within the township is pretty well set, with commercial land uses and higher density residential concentrated along major roadways, and distinct neighborhoods of single-family homes are located throughout the township. And here is the proposed future land use map, which is one of the most impactful tools within the comprehensive plan. So I just wanted to explain this one a little bit further. Although it looks very similar, it's not a zoning map. The future land use map lays out the distribution of the full range of land uses expected to be present in the township in the future. In some ways, it shows existing land use, such as where we have established residential neighborhoods that are important to maintain. But in other ways, it's aspirational, especially in terms of encouraging greater density of development within a half mile of the Pembroke and North Wales train stations. In general, this future land use map recognizes the economic and social benefits of the township's strong commercial land use base. It also recognizes the importance of preserving established neighborhoods and preserving and enhancing open space, agricultural and conservation lands, and greenways along stream corridors. Overall, it's intended that the recommendations and strategies described throughout the comprehensive plan, including additional planning and ordinance updates, will result in land use and development patterns similar to that shown in the future land use plan. The next several chapters are organized around a township-wide topic. The first is housing and neighborhoods. That looks at housing distribution, housing value, and other things such as food access, historic preservation, and aging in place. The recommendations for housing and neighborhoods relate to conserving existing housing stock and maintaining the overall scale and character of established residential neighborhoods while still providing for a range of housing types to meet the township's long-term housing needs. The economic development chapter includes a retail spending analysis, employment data, and a section on trends in commercial land use and development, such as mixed-use town centers, small-scale artisan industrial, and co-working offices. One of the focuses of this chapter is transit-oriented development. Although the township doesn't have any rail stations within its borders, the close proximity to the Pembroke Station in Lansdale and the North Wales Station in North Wales creates a unique opportunity to jointly plan with those adjacent municipalities for transit-oriented development around these stations. In general, the township is an attractive place to both prospective residents and employers, which increases the potential for successful mixed-use developments around these stations. Just the previous slide, one more thing, thank you. Some of the other economic development recommendations relate to enhancing the township's established commercial corridors, shopping centers, and employment areas, ensuring new commercial development accommodates multimodal transportation, and incentivizing economic revitalization and redevelopment of vacant and underutilized commercial properties. Next, the Community Services and Institutions chapter summarizes the many local and regional institutions and facilities that are located in the township, as well as the township's community services. This chapter also covers public safety and public health, with a focus on access to healthy food and parks and air quality. The Transportation chapter is divided into 4 sections to reflect the 4 most common modes of transportation: vehicular transportation, walkability, bikeability, and public transit. Primarily, the transportation recommendations are focused on improving the safety and connectivity of all 4 modes of transportation throughout the township by building off of the township's established road network, transit routes, sidewalks, and trails. Next, one particular tool in the transportation chapter is the existing and priority sidewalk network map, which shows where there are currently sidewalks and highlights areas to prioritize improving pedestrian connections by building sidewalks and enhancing intersections. Walking destinations are identified on the map, including public schools, public parks, commercial areas, train stations, and the North Wales Area Library. A walking distance is shown as a buffer around each of these destinations, and that area within these buffers is considered priority location for sidewalks in order to improve pedestrian access to these destinations. Where 2 or more of these buffers overlap, those areas are an even higher priority area for filling sidewalk gaps because they would improve walkability to multiple destinations. The next chapter is environmental sustainability. In part, the Upper Gwinnett 2040 Community Vision Statement reads that in 2040, Upper Gwinnett will be a community that exemplifies sustainable practices with a continued focus on preservation of environmentally sensitive landscapes, development of an integrated regional trail network, and enhancement of the township's parks. The environmental sustainability chapter seeks to achieve this portion of the vision through recommendations covering a broad range of topics, including geology and soils, trees and riparian buffer, stormwater management, infrastructure, and energy. Next, the main recommendation of the Parks and Open Space chapter is to complete a township-wide Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan to identify new recreation facility needs and other amenities to enhance park access and use for all township residents. This chapter also recommends expanding and improving the township's trail network and pursuing opportunities to preserve the township's remaining open space areas with a focus on Act 319 properties, historic properties, greenway corridors, and potential trail right-of-way. The last topic based chapter is on historic preservation. Bless you. Excuse me. This chapter provides a detailed summary and map of properties that are currently listed or have been deemed to be eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places, as well as an updated inventory of the historic farmhouses in the township. The recommendations are focused on encouraging and incentivizing historic preservation rather than formally mandating it. So that is the last topic-based chapter. The next section is the focus areas. This chapter covers 3 geographic focus areas, which were selected because they are distinct transportation corridors and economic opportunity areas where additional analysis was warranted. For each focus area, background information, data analysis on existing conditions, and recommendations are included. So the first focus area is West Point Village. In terms of future land use, which is the small inset map on the lower right, the plan recommends continuation of the character of village mixed use along West Point Pike, and then a range of types of residential on either side. Key recommendations include enhancing the northern gateway into the village area, continuing the established streetscape improvements, improving sidewalk connections to the park, and improving West Point Park itself. Next. So to reflect the differing land use patterns and planning opportunities, the Sumneytown Pike corridor between Valley Forge Road and North Wales Borough is divided into west and east portions for the second and third focus areas. The Stony Creek Railroad Bridge, just east of Allentown Road, is used as the dividing point. So for the western portion shown here, the future land use is a mixture of commercial at major intersections, as well as several large institutions, the frontage of Merck's West Point campus, and a range of types of housing. Key recommendations include completing a master plan for the undeveloped land on Allentown Road, encouraging the redevelopment of the Sumney Forge Square Shopping Center with outdoor dining overlooking Talmonson Creek and flexible plaza spaces, and improving pedestrian crossings and sidewalks throughout the corridor. Next. On the eastern portion of the corridor, the future land use is entirely commercial with some recreation and utilities on the south side. And the key recommendation here is to complete a master plan for the properties at the intersection of Church Road, West Point Pike, and Sumneytown Pike. A conceptual land use plan is included in this chapter to show how a mixture of uses could be paired with greening and circulation improvements to integrate the four corners of the intersection together. So lastly is the implementation chapter, which includes a summary table of the recommendations and strategies detailed in each chapter of the plan. Additional information for each strategy is provided, including an indication of the implementation strategy type, whether it's a new regulatory control or a capital improvement versus additional planning work. Priority of the individual strategies is shown in terms of a number of stars, and potential funding and partners are summarized here as well. And that is the entire plan. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that, Marley. That was great. It's unbelievable what the work that we've been doing over the past three years and how we managed to not skip a beat with everything, thanks to you and your leadership. So we thank you for everything that you did for us here in Upper Gwinnett, and the visions and everything that you were able to see, and how you got to know our little township here. It's been a great experience. So thank you for everything.
Thank you. It's a pleasure working with you.
It's been great. Are there any public comments or questions for Marley? Anything? Do we have any callers with any questions? No? Okay, so with that, we will close the public hearing and move on to the motion to approve the Resolution 29, 2021, the adoption of the Upper Gwinnett 2040 Comprehensive Plan. So do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any additional comments?
I just have to say that this is such a big moment for Commissioner McNaney and I, because this was one of our first goals. We saw the need for this in Upper Gwinnett, and we realized that this could really help us create a vision for the township, and it could really be the framework from which we could just use as a springboard for so many possibilities. So we're thrilled about it, and I'm just so thrilled that it's happening tonight, that it's a little surreal, and I just can't believe it. And as Liz said, we're so grateful, Marley, and we're so grateful to everybody in the township who helped make this happen, and all the residents who stepped up. It's been a really wonderful process, despite the dumb COVID and having to deal with that with it. But it's just been amazing, and like I said, it feels like a very surreal moment. So I just had to say that.
We're very proud moment.
Yes.
Very proud
Yes.
moment for us.
Yes. Yes.
So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
We don't have to raise our hands. I know. Opposed? The ayes so have it. This is exciting. I feel like we should clap or something. No. Thank you, Marley and Van, for everything.
Friday, so it's a little birthday present.
Aw, happy birthday.
That's great. All right, so with that, we can close the public hearing, which I already did, and we can move on in the agenda, although I would love to sit here and talk about everything with the comp plan, because it was such a great process. But we have to move on to something just as exciting. No, I'm serious this time. We'll move on to item number 14 on our agenda, which is our financial report with Dave Brill.
Hi, Madam President. I'd like to go over the forecast that we just completed, and this is for the general fund. So it's looking at really the first 6 months actual this year versus last year, and then taking a look at what we think the year will be for planning into the budget process that we're just starting and looking out into next year. So the first slide here, it has a lot of numbers on it. But the main takeaways on this is on the far right-hand column, the top half of the spreadsheet, I'm sorry, the left side is revenue. So those are all our major revenue groupings. And primarily it's real estate and earned income tax. Then on the lower part of the spreadsheet are expenses by department. So that's admin department, information technology, police, public works, all the different departments that support the community. And then at the bottom of the page, it brings the revenue versus the expenses, and it comes down to a number called either you have a surplus or a bracket means you have a deficit. And that's on the bottom of the page. So if we start off with the very, very high level on the revenue, the real estate taxes, this half of the year versus last half of the year, we're actually ahead by $79,000, which is excellent. And it looks like the collection rate is slightly better than last year. And we're collecting, when we budget, and we'll get into that in a minute, you see the forecast I have that will be actually slightly better than what we budgeted. We budgeted to not collect as much as we are. So what ends up going to the county for collection. And we're actually seeing a low number needing to go to the county, or we foresee a low number needing to go to the county. So that's really good. So thank you, residents, for sending in your real estate tax money. And it's looks like we're ahead of what we had last year and what we budgeted by $87,000. For what your group as local enabling taxes, the main two categories in there are real estate transfer tax, and that's when a property is sold and bought. If you look at the first half this year versus last year, we're higher by 81,000, which is incredible, especially given last year's market was surprisingly strong given the COVID environment, and it remains strong in the township, which is very exciting. We budgeted to be conservative, which is smart. We budgeted not to continue what we experienced last year. We budgeted 453,000, and I think we'll be on pace to make 551,000. So that's just under $100,000 better than we budgeted. So that's very good news. So it's really the volume per transaction, and the sale price is considerably higher than last year, and it's continuing. And in that forecast, I actually tempered that slightly for the fourth quarter to tail off a tiny bit. Do I know if that's going to happen or not? Last year it didn't. Typically the third quarter of the year is our strongest, and that's when school's out and people are buying homes and getting ready to go back to school. So we'll see, and in 3 months from now we'll have a really good gauge on what the year will be. So the 551 forecast I feel very strong about, and it might actually be better than that. So that's all good news. Earned income tax is the big number on the page. This year versus last year, 6 months this year versus 6 months last year, we're slightly ahead, 48,000, slightly higher. That's a big number. It's on $3.4 million. And the big news is I firmly feel that will be better than we budgeted by 700,000. And again, when we did the budget this time last year, October, November, we really went off the trend, which we were experiencing, and then we did temper it some, thinking that, well, what's going to happen this year? There's so many unknowns. with the economy, with the virus, what's going to happen. And I think that was very prudent by the board to do that, because that way we matched our expenses against that level of revenue coming in, as opposed to counting on something that may not come in and have a problem. So the good news is the revenue is very strong, and its employment is stronger than we anticipated, which is awesome. And wages in the community are up higher than we anticipated. So both are excellent. And when you combine that with the real estate transfer tax, that amount of properties being sold and purchased, that's very good news for the community. Moving on, the one item that I see a deterioration in is that other next line item, licenses, permits, cable TV, fines, parking tickets. In that line item, we're slightly below last year, but I think that's a continuing trend. And the main item in that number is that I see deteriorating is cable TV. We've seen that start about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it's people just streaming more than having cable TV services. And we get a certain amount from the cable TV franchises in our community for what is sold. And we're seeing that slowly deteriorate. And that's, I think, just the way the world's moving ahead. The good thing is it's not a big number. So I anticipate we'll only be $10,000 shy there. But it is a trend that I expect to continue and maybe actually speed up as people, have iPads and remote devices and smartphones and everything else. So we're going to probably go away from cable TV. The rest of the line items are pretty much in line with last year or budget, or they're just timing items. The one big one is zoning and land development fees. This year, this half of the year is well below last year by $300,000. And I'm not concerned about that. I have the year coming in at our budget, the forecast being equal to budget. I think it's really a timing activity, and we didn't budget at such a high rate as we did incur last year. Last year, if you remember, the first half of the year, we're at $600,000 of activity. We budgeted $585. And last year had a lot of redevelopment in homes, businesses doing work at their facilities, a tremendous amount of work. We're seeing a strong amount of work this year, but it's more in line with what we thought. So I don't see any concern there. So the main takeaway on revenue is we're slightly behind last year's rate. If you add all the groupings together by 150,000, I'm not concerned about it at all. I think at the end of the year, we'll actually be better by our budget by just under $1 million in revenue. So that's very good news. On the expense side, it's kind of plus and minuses on both sides. Admin, we're actually slightly better than the first half of last year, but I'm expecting to be right on budget. And last year, the main driver of that being favorable to last year's spending is COVID. We're spending some money this year on COVID expenses with masks and stuff, but a lot of the stuff we already put in place, like the shields in the front desk area and other supplies and stuff, we kind of spent a good part of that last year. So the good news is hopefully we'll be able to get through this year with not much more spending. Information technology is an area that we have a higher spending rate than last year, and we're going to be unfavorable to budget. That was a line item that I called your attention in our forecast number 1, and this is forecast number 2. And that's being driven by our focus on increasing our security. So we really ramped up our cybersecurity level of service by our IT carrier. And I just had a conference call today with TD Bank, one of our main banking partners, and they're sending me a training program that they just completed for their staff, and they're sending it out to people because they're seeing an incredible spike in cyber attacks. So for everybody, just be aware, please be, like, your personal accounts will be attacked, businesses are being attacked, and I think it was well spent the money to increase what our spending rate is this year on that. Like I said, it'll save the township many, many dollars. The one that happened that was brought up in our meeting was, it was when he described how it happened, it was so innocent, you could see it happening to almost anybody. And theft the theft netted $500,000 from a small business. And after it's gone, it's very hard to recover it. So the good news is we really increased our spending, so we're very much more protected than we were 2 years ago. And from the conference call I had today, we talked about different things we could put in place that we don't have yet on our bank accounts to make them more secure. So that's all good. Looking down, Public Works is slightly higher than last year, but that's really timing items. And the main driver is spending on salt and OT for clearing off the roads. This year we had more of that activity than we had last year. And that's just the nature of when the storms happen. So the good news is we always budget for a typically bad storm or a bad year. So we have the money in the budget to cover that. So I don't see any problems with the budget. It's just that we're spending more than we did last year.
As long as it doesn't snow in October, November, and December, right?
Yeah, please, yeah. Very good point.
Yeah, I always like to knock wood on that one.
As long as it doesn't snow a lot this month, we should be good.
One time at a public meeting, I said that, and it literally like started
Oh, no.
snowing. So if that
Oh,
happened in
God,
August,
no.
we'd really be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to jinx it. Park and Rec, we're spending more this year versus last year, just because last year we canceled a lot of the programming. And this year, and even though we did come up with programming that was streamed, this year we're doing more live events, and it incurs more cost to do that. And I think we'll be right on budget for that. Debt service, we're slightly better than last year and on budget, and that's because of the debt issue that we did December of 2020. So if we remember that, we went through those steps, and we ended up, $34,000. We were better off as a community than if we didn't do that. So that's good. Employee medical, dental, and disability is the other line item that I'd just like to bring your attention to. This year we're a bit under last year, and I think that's a continue. A few things happened there is we had some open positions that we had open and then we're filling. So there's some timing items on what we spend versus when we fill them. As well as when with the trust, we did leverage that relationship with them, with the Delaware Valley Insurance Trust. And that does help us keep our rates and our premiums flat to down. So that's a good thing. So that's what's going on there. So if you turn to the next slide, the main takeaway, and I'm very happy to say this because if the opposite were true, it would be a very bad and stressed out presentation, is that we are in great financial position. It's because we budgeted conservatively, and now we're reaping the benefit of that with the economy being strong in our community. We're overall favorable to budget by $900,000, which is outstanding. And that leaves open choices the board and Sandra need to make. You could increase the spending level for the last quarter. You could increase the amount that we allocate to the capital reserve fund, which we've been funding more to be able to set money aside to support our 5-year capital plan, which is a great use of a surplus like this, and I'd highly recommend. Or you could leave the money in the general fund, and it increases the overall reserves. So the money doesn't go away. It's there. It's really how you want to deploy that money and make it available for future years. And we'll get a better understanding of that when we do the next forecast in the next 3 months, and as we finish the budget for 2022. We'll have these numbers lined out more for what this year will look like, and then what next year we anticipate to be. And that's it I have. Are there any questions?
I don't have any. The ones I had, I talked to Sandra about, and I'm good with. I understand now. I just like if you go back to the other slide, the second slide there. Yes, after reading through everything past couple of days, when I got to that first thing, the main takeaways, right there, we are in great financial, that was like, phew, because you read through all that and all the, and, that was okay. So, and I think the next 3 months, we'll have to look at things then, like we were talking about today. So thank you for that and for your explanation of everything. We appreciate it and everything you did to put this together for us. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Did anybody, Martha, did you have anything?
I'm fine.
I know, we should have brought Marley.
Yay!
I do have a comment. My comment is, I totally agree, Dave, great job with the forecast. I also just want to comment that you will definitely see my recommendation echo Dave's, that we invest that surplus into our capital reserve fund. As you know, well, the commissioners know, but the audience doesn't know, we've been working on a 5-year capital plan. It's got a myriad of awesome projects for us to work on. I think we have about $3.7 million of projects over the next 5 years that we're looking to fund. And that close to $1 million would be a great way to start. Just maintaining that fund so that we always have the funding there for these longer term, larger capital projects such as new equipment for the police department, for the public works department, the paving projects, those large scale projects. So it's great to be in this position. And last year, I remember when we were budgeting, it was a very uncertain time. So it's nice to be in a more certain position.
In a great financial
In a
position.
great financial position.
And I
Quote Dave Brill.
I just also wanted to say, thank you so much for doing these quarterly. I think they make a great difference. I love to feel like we know exactly where we are financially. Doing it once a year just isn't enough. So this was one of our brainstorms when we did that goal setting session, and I just think it's so great. And I know it's a lot more work on your end, Dave. So we appreciate all the extra time you put into it and your financial department puts into it. Please thank them for us. But I think this just makes all the difference. And I love feeling like I know exactly where we're at now. So thank you.
Good. Oh, thank you.
Anybody else? No? Thank you, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Next on the agenda, item number 15. It's the motion to approve the consent items A through J. We've all had a chance to look at all these, go through them. So we have to do a roll call vote, but first we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a second?
I'll second.
You have to, Martha. Any public comment, on any of the items A through J? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, without raising your hand, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, that needs to be.
Oh, roll call vote, sorry, I'm so excited about not raising my
Not raising
hand.
our hand
We're
with
like-
President McNaney,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Simularo.
Aye.
The ayes so have it. Moving right along, item number 16 is a motion to approve the advertisement of ordinance 2021-01, the HRC amended ordinance. That was just some verbiage that we needed to change. We all had a chance to look through all of that. So do we have a motion to approve the advertisement of the ordinance?
I'll motion. I'll second. No. I'll move. So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, great. We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Don't raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? The ayes so have it. Next is a motion to authorize Lauren Gallagher, the township solicitor, to sign on behalf of the township the assessment appeal stipulation agreement for ColorCon. Again, this was information, it's highlighted in blue, so it had a memo attached to it for more clarification. Was there anything, Sandra, that you wanted to add to that one?
Nope, this is just standard assessment appeal business.
Business. Okay, so with that, do we have a motion to authorize Lauren to sign on behalf of the township?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it. Moving along to item number 18, I will hand it over to Commissioner Hall.
Thank you. Next up, we have a motion for the revised recorded plan for Merck Building 50. Greg, was there anything you wanted to present or share with us before we move forward?
I have 8 slides. First of all, my name is Greg Landis. I work for Integrated Project Services representing Merck. With me tonight is Tom Alvarez from Merck Operations and David Bruman Esquire from High Sports. I have a brief 8-slide presentation here that will start by reviewing the existing project that you approved in February, and that is our Building 50, which is the orange square to the bottom, the darker orange versus the lighter one. And next slide. This is a rendering of what the building looks like, and where you see the loading docks there, to the left of that is where the little bump that we're wanting to add goes. So you see the driveway that goes in, there's 3 loading docks. We'll add another area in there where that little bump will go. Next slide. Some history. You did approve this on February 16th, which we appreciate. And we did we signed the resolution, recorded the development agreement and the record plan. We have an approved NPDS permit for the project, and we also have permits for demo and grading structural, which are in place. Current approved project is 101,000 and change square feet on a footprint of 34,000, 3 floors, loading dock cold storage on the first, clean room filling and lyophilization on the second floor, and then 3rd floor is office and mechanical. Next slide. What we want to add is a small addition that has a first floor of about 1,100 square feet, and that's to improve our building, our waste management, literally getting trash out of the building. Second floor will give us some additional staging area to move materials around, and then the 3rd floor would be a space to offer some office expansion in the future, especially with COVID. You never know what space you need for people. Total growth of the building is 3,900 square feet, which is about 3.8% of the original. The head count that we had reported before will remain the same. And then we have some remaining activities. We have to revise the land development record plan, which is finished. We completed our review with RVE. We had 4 comments, and we successfully addressed them based on their approval letter on August 2nd. And we are finalizing the Montgomery County Conservation District review of our NPDS permit, which we received yesterday, the completeness letter, and then usually a week after that, our technical review follows, and we should be finished with that one as well. So that's the last outstanding issue that we're waiting for right now. This drawing shows the little bump to the north. It's a little right there underneath where it says trash compactor. That little piece is what we've added. The 44 feet by 25 feet addition is what we're adding, where the 2 little trucks are there, and then it grows up. It grows up to the 3 floors. And then we've revised the record plan that has that addition on there to include the walkway to the north, which was the last item that Isaac reviewed. So it changes the plan very, very minimally, which we would then re-record and make part of the record. So we have no additional waivers. You had approved 8 waivers with the original approval. We are requesting no new ones. And there is no pre-construction meeting required, as we are underway right now with RVE's supervision. So as I said, our last item we're waiting on is the NPDS permit. I will communicate that to Isaac as soon as we have it, and to Megan. And hopefully that will give us cause to proceed with your approval.
Greg, thank you. That was so thorough, and that was such a great explanation that I have nothing to say, which is very rare for me. I will just add that we did also, the fire marshal found the plans to be satisfactory in the location of the fire hydrant. So that didn't change any of that, but you've included that in the big grouping. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 30-2021, the revised recorded plan for Merck Building 50.
So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
So moved.
We have a second. Any public comment? No? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes so have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. Next on the agenda, under public safety, I will take this one this evening. It's a motion to approve the advertisement of ordinance 2021-04, amending the current traffic ordinance, allowing the no blocking of the intersection signage to be placed at Oakland Place. Chief Duffy, did you have anything more about that, no blocking the intersection there on Sunnytown?
Not since last meeting.
Okay. We had some residents meeting with them. They asked for it, so we'll be putting that in place. I think the budget impact is $100. Did I read?
Yes, it's just part of our normal sign budget.
Okay, great. So do we have a motion to approve the advertisement of the ordinance?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes so have it. Next on the agenda is for Commissioner Damsker, but since Commissioner Similaro doesn't have anything in her section, she wanted to talk, so we decided to let.
Thanks, Liz.
And she's here, so, might as well.
So
Figure.
I'll be Ruth.
something,
I'll be
so-
Ruth tonight.
Commissioner Similaro, if you want to do the next three items on the agenda?
So the first motion is to approve the 6th annual Home at Last 5K race on Saturday, October 30th, 2021, from 9 to 12. In case you don't know, Home at Last is a dog rescue organization. So I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any public comment? Any additional board comment? Besides the fact that we saw them this weekend over at McAllister's and they had some really great looking dogs and just a great organization. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes still have it.
The next one is a motion to approve the Walk the Wissahickon event on Sunday, September 26th of 2021. The Walk the Wissahickon is a walk that starts at Parkside along the Green Ribbon Trail, but it has different ending locations, so you can do a 4, a 7, or a 12-mile walk. So I'd like to make the motion to approve the Walk the Wissahickon event.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes still have it.
And the last motion is to approve the Carnival parking contract with Merck. It's for a carnival coming up September 9th?
Yes.
9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, I believe.
Yeah.
And Merck, we do contract with them for additional parking, so I'd like to make a motion to approve that contract.
So we have a motion to approve the carnival parking contract with Merck. Do we have a second?
So moved.
We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes still have it. Thank you, Commissioner Similaro.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, under other business, item number 23 is a motion to approve the August 2021 open invoices. We will need a roll call vote. So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Deanna?
President McNaney,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro.
Aye.
Thank you, Deanna. The ayes so have it. Next, item number 24 is a motion to approve the August 2021 paid invoices. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We'll have a second. Deanna?
President McNaney, would you like to
Oh.
ask for public comment?
I would like to ask.
Okay.
And board comment. How about that? Any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none. Deanna?
President McNaney,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro.
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro, okay. All in favor? Yes, I so have it. Before we adjourn this evening, one more thing that's not on the agenda that I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention is some of the intergovernmental partnerships that Upper Gwinnett has worked on the past couple years with surrounding municipalities. The first one talks about the joint board, the UCC, the Uniform Construction Code, Joint Board of Appeals with North Wales Borough. It's a great way to combine and to work together with that, to help each other out. Another intergovernmental partnership that we did is we worked with the Borough of North Wales to host a COVID vaccine clinic at our pool area in late March, early April. And that was, we all volunteered for that, and that was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. The next one is the Center Street Improvement Support for North Wales Borough, where we wrote to them with their comprehensive plan in support of some improvements that they wanted to make to the road right out in front of us there. And we added the lights to that one to make it more accessible for residents to walk back and forth. The next one is the Liberty Bell Trail feasibility study with 7 municipalities that include Sodderton, Telford, Franconia, the Hatfields, Landisdale, and North Wales Borough. The next one is the consortium fuel bid equals savings. We've taken over, Upper Gwynedd Township has taken over the bidding for that. And we have, is that 12 municipalities also? Working, has joined us with that, which is a big money saver, as you can see there, equal savings. The Whites Road Park improvements with Lansdale Borough. I know Commissioner Hull, you were involved with that, with making the playground for children with disabilities with that playground. It's a wonderful thing to have so close in our community. Service on the Montgomery County Association of Township Commissioners Board. That is a personal one. I have been elected to be the secretary of that board. So I've been working with other first-class townships in the community. And we have had meetings, and it's just a nice network of people to have, because why reinvent the wheel sometimes? I reach out to them on lots of different things. It's a great honor to serve on that board. We have the Wissahickon Water Quality Partnership that Megan works with several municipalities on that one. We have the EAC, one of our new committees that have met with representatives from New Hanover and Upper Dublin, and they participation in regional events, EAC events, and I know they have some other townships that they're going to be working with as well. Did we forget anything on there?
That's a good list. I mean,
Yeah.
there's more than that, but that's a really good list, because that has definitely been one of our goals from our goal setting that we brought up earlier, to definitely try to reach out, because our townships are so close together, the North Penn area and even beyond the North Penn area, just because we're always better, working together with our community. So.
Which leads me to kind of flows into this. One of the things that makes a great township manager is all the things that Sandra does behind the scenes.
Oh, thank you.
And she does, and she's just a breath of fresh air to all of us. And so along with her daily duties, she's also reaching out to all the managers. You meet with them once a month, twice a month, back and forth. I know you worked very closely with them with the whole COVID thing.
Yes.
Trying to figure out, working together to try to figure out what to do and how to do it and what's best, and because we're not the experts. And so it was just a wonderful thing to have Sandra, who's out there in the community, who is willing to work with others. And also, speaking of Sandra, she has a new position on the executive committee for the Delaware Valley Health Trust Property and Liability Trust Board. It's an elected position voted on by other managers. It's a huge honor to be elected to this board by her peers. We are thrilled, as are you, I know, that you now have a leadership role in this great organization.
Oh my gosh, this is very embarrassing. Oh no.
So we just want to congratulate you.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. You guys did it. You surprised me. And you had a little accomplice over there?
You surprise us daily, which keeps us on our
Thank
toes.
you.
So we thank you for that and congratulations, because I know that was it's an honor for you to be on
Yeah,
that.
it's
and
very exciting. And it's really good for the township to be part of the leadership of a insurance trust that serves our community. So yes, I'm very thrilled.
And we're so proud of you and thank
Thank
you
you.
for everything that you do. So with that, unless we have anything else, it's going to be a hard one to follow. So with that, thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.